You can just give a sign. Do you want to change our seats when you will be presenting? Yeah, okay. Yes, because we don't have enough chairs, something like that. At the beginning, the EQUAL-IST project aims to support 6 ICT IPOs to design and implement gender equality plans, 2 supportive organizations, university, Kharkiv, with the gender expertise, and ViLabs has been coordinating the project, and the 6 IPOs who participate in Kaunas University in Lithuania, the University of Modena in Italy, the University of Minho in Portugal, and Kharkiv University in Ukraine. Our first priority has been to support the RPOs to design the gender equality plans. This slide shows briefly our steps that we followed in this direction. So our first step has been to develop a methodology that the ICT institutions could follow in order to carry out the internal gender auditing. So during this process, they identified the initial challenges and the initial ideas that has been very important to be tackled through the gender equality plans. After that, the EQUAL-IST developed through the University of Muenster the crowd equality platform, where each RPO published the initial challenges and ideas, engaged external stakeholders, of course, relevant to the topic, and they have been invited to suggest on the challenges and on the ideas. All this would help to identify the most crucial challenges of each institution. So the third step has been to design the methodology for the assessment and the indicators that the RPO should monitor during the JEP implementation. This is something that the University of Modena developed. And finally, as a third step, we had the toolkit, which has been used to provide with best practices on the design of the gender equality plans. Moving to the JEP implementation, this online toolkit has also designed to provide also best practices on the implementation of gender equality plans. To support these institutions who are focusing all their efforts for the first time to design gender equality plans, we have organized as a project with the University of Kharkiv leading this task, organized webinars on particular topics that have been identified as important to teach the RPOs on the implementation. Chronologically speaking, on November 2017, the RPO started the implementation of the gender equality plans they initially designed. They have been implementing their activities for 6 months. During this period, they have been monitoring the progress and evaluating their activities. So then we had a couple of months during May and June to refine the activities and the JEBs. So on July, the first iteration starting after June 2019, on July until this month, implementing the refined actions. So I will provide you with a summary of examples we are proud to say about our RPOs because there has been a special effort from all the partners to make structural changes and promise sustainability on these activities. So, summarize, I have grouped them under the different thematic intervention networks. So, some examples under human resources and management practices, we have RPOs who have established the procedures to collect, analyze, and publish gender disaggregated statistics in different levels, in the academic, administrative staff, as well as the students. We have examples of RPOs who put in place gender equality machineries with specific skills, budget, and tasks. In terms of improvement of work-life balance, examples include that the staff has been informed about their rights for flexible arrangement. The scheduling of the classes has been improved considering the priorities of the staff for care responsibilities. And there are examples of raising awareness of recruitment the panel members on gender bias. Turning to the teaching and student services, we have established frequent, on 6-month, on an annual basis, seminars to the teaching staff in order to get trained on the gender approach and study curricula, and also seminars for students about the gender approach in their study and working life. Examples include reviews of teaching material to eliminate the gender bias, also to publish on the university website information on gender equality concepts and terminology. And we have the example of a university who included a new teaching course on language and gender within a bachelor degree. And we have organized also activities to motivate high school female students to enroll to ICT departments with the support of private companies. Turning to the institutional communication, we have examples of the ICT courses, the communication and dissemination materials. We have revised them. We have the examples to propose, to establish, to set the communications and marketing departments the process of reviewing continuously all the communication materials in terms of gender equality. And of course, we have empowered the universities to use strategic communication methodology because it will contribute to to increase the reputation of and the importance of the university itself to the position rankings. International rankings. So moving to the most hard thematic area to reach, the research content and delivery, we have recognized that at the initial stage that RPOs identified the challenges they didn't identify challenges on this domain, mainly because there was a lack of awareness on this topic. Therefore, we have organized a dedicated webinar with expert speakers about the gender equality in ICT research content, why and how to integrate a gender and intersectional approach in your research project. So, and then we have to share with you two examples: the creation of a internal transnational network of researchers in gender, when they can network among them and exchange knowledge on this topic. And we have the example of a dedicated annual conference that will continue along the years, of course, to increase the capacity and the knowledge on this particular topic. Okay, so now you will hear the presentations from the 6 RPOs, who will explain you how they have identified their challenges, the activities they did to tackle the challenges, the outcomes, and the sustainable structural change. Of course, we have several stories to share with you, but we have chosen a couple for every RPO, otherwise we'll stay here until the night. And of course, you can find any information you would like additionally for the RPOs at our project website. We have a page dedicated to every RPO. So now I will give the floor to my colleague. Thanks. Claudia Canali. She's an associate professor at the University of Modena in Reggio, Emilia. She's one of the organizers of the summer camp, Ragazze Digitali. And now, at the 4th edition, they aimed to attract more female students toward related activities.
Thank you, Vicky, for the nice introduction. And we will present a couple of actions that we worked on during this implementation of gender equality plans at our university. Actually, I will give the floor to my colleague, Tinda Dabbo, that she's part of the research unit, and she's the colleague of the Department of Economics, Marco Biaggi, because one of the, let's say, strong points of our research unit in Modena was to have an interdisciplinary working group and research team. And so, please, Tinda, go ahead with the beginning of the presentation. I will do the second part.
Thanks, Claudia. And I must say that probably I must recognize with Claudia Canali, and I would like also to thank the European Commission for having given in Horizon 2020 the possibility really to get on with interdisciplinary research and activities leading, in my opinion, that can lead, and I will show, and we will show you some cases, to more gender equality and interesting point to show to those policy actors that really can really have benefits in terms of gender equality achievement. So I will start with one of the, by telling you two of the challenges we could really see by means of a participatory gender audit that took place within our university, involving really widely students, personnel in the administrative offices, and academic personnel. And we could really see, by looking at the data, that in ICT we had a big challenge in terms of students. And also, but I will not talk about it, but in terms of students in the different levels, you can see that the figure for female students was really lower than the European average, and even at the very beginning, lower than the Italian national average. And most important, it was much lower than the 52% that we had in the university in terms of women attending the different courses. and you can see it was around, for bachelor level, around 14.6%. And that is one challenge. The other one we will talk about today is about communication, both in text and in images. This is a picture that was in the Guide of Engineering courses in 2016, but I will leave the floor later on to Claudia to comment upon this and what happened afterwards. But from an economist point of view, I would like to share with you my vision as a policy evaluator of Ragazze Digitali, digital girls, that saw really Claudia Canali with Michele Colaiani and the engineering department Enzo Ferrari very, very much active even before the EQUAL-IST project. But what was the change afterwards? It became even wider. It involved much more girls than it did before. And in my opinion, looking at it, even if I am from the same university, from an economist point of view, expert in gender equality issues, I think it was very important the fact that it was really developing a very well-structured network, both at local level. I go as a gender expert in terms of economics and discrimination in the labor market. In high school, I'm invited regularly to deliver lectures on this topic. And at the beginning of my activities and of the activities that was taking place in 2014 of Digital Girls in Modena, not many people knows about it. But now when I go to classes and I show the possibility to do Digital Girls Camp, many knows already. That is, in my opinion, one sign of the powerful collaboration that took place also thanks to the EQUAL-IST project and to the possibility to be recognized as something that was really important at a European level. I think that was really very crucial also in our Modena district, which is in the north part of Italy, and also there are attempts to go in other, and we have been successful in going to other towns and to really expand. I had the opportunity to talk about digital girls in international conferences, national conferences, and I could see lots of interest about it. But what it is about? It is a summer camp that is offered to a third and fourth year girls student in high school. Basically, there is the possibility to get to know about the camp in public events that are open also to boys. So that is also important, and this is something that also took place during the EQUAL-IST experience, to open to boys, to have the possibility to interact and to know what it is about and why we have to offer a special girls' camp to girls in digital sciences. And basically, it is interesting in different ways in terms, again, evaluation of the project, that it offers us the possibility to provide more confidence with skills to the girl student that they lack, definitely. And in fact, in the number that we have we could see that one of the success factors is really to go ahead with the competencies and the skills. Basically, there is a double camp now in Modena with programming video games in Python, but also to provide girls the possibility to be acknowledged in terms of robot control mobile app with Arduino. And as I was saying before, it is replicated in different towns, Reggio Emilia and Cesena. And from initial in 2014, 30 girls, now we have in 2018 127, and the last data that we have that should be completed, more than 150 girls. And again, it is very important, this promotional event, which took place really widely, extensively in the schools, in a high school, in the context where the action take place, with more than 1,000 students. And that is, in my opinion, the multiplier effect. We have both an action which is a role model, because they went to the school by talking about the different women that are in ICT, and then can show that it is something that it is feasible for girls. We know that OECD PISA data show that girls, especially in Italy, do not see themselves as even attempting to go to an ICT school, but also to have a profession in that. And they show the women in that profession. This is a role model, very effective, so much that girls really comes to the camp. And the other thing is that afterwards, and I will almost finish this part of the challenge, is that basically when we go on and evaluate, what I'm doing as an economist is to help now in evaluating what is going on, and there is a positive reply to the camp, not only in terms of ICT, but also in terms of teamwork that is very much developed. And also they say 82%, 83% didn't really were able to do anything about programming before the camp, and afterwards they can do programming, and they also can show in public events like, again, back to Europe, the European Night for Researchers. We show in our stall that these girls really showing the video games they have produced, and some of them have also nice gender issues. And for instance, I was very much struck by that, by a nice video game about Penelope. We always talk about Ulysses, but there is also Penelope, and was these nice video games they did. And now amongst these girls, 31% were oriented in ICT degree courses, and there was also a sensible increase in the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia of women in bachelor, enrolled in bachelor level. They were among 14.6, and now they are around 19, more than 19%. So there is a huge increase, 33% increase in this period. Of course, we should evaluate better what is happening, but it is much more than that took place in Italy, which was about 8%. So we are very happy about this action and the possibility to interact, to see what is the effect of the action. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Tinda. I will go on with another action that we implemented in our university. We hope that this good result, this increase that Tinda was talking about, is also due to this improvement in communication, because one of the main challenges that we identified during the participatory gender audit with students was that the lack of female students in ICT courses was mainly due to gender stereotypes that we have in our society. And we know that communication, and that was the feedback also received by the students, can really enforce gender stereotypes. So we try to improve that aspect. And that action was carried out in close collaboration with internal stakeholders. So the communication offices, first of all, the Unified Committee for Guarantees, where I was elected as a member during the EQUAL-IST project in 2017, and with internal resources, because we have a department of linguistic and cultural studies where we have some language experts, in particular one that is recognized to, let's say, is well-known at the national level. So she's working especially on language. So we collaborate with all the stakeholders. And the main activities we carried out was, first of all, we choose to improve the communication in the students' guides, because, of course, this is a really visible mean of communication that is published online for each course at our university, and the guides are also distributed during an event that is an annual event that is carried out at our university, that is Unimore Orienta. That involves each year almost 10,000 students, so it's great visibility for that. The activities also were about raising awareness about the need of a gender-sensitive communication, the importance of that, and also our goal was to train the staff, in particular the staff responsible for communication, internal and external communication, to adopt guidelines on gender-sensitive language about the administrative communication. The expert, Professor Cecilia Bustelle, was mentioning before, she is the author, actually, of guidelines that have been approved by our ministry at the national level, but were not adopted in our institution. So we took the opportunity to carry out this action to go towards this adoption. So let's go to the visual communication that we targeted as one of the main aspects to change in our student guide. And just to understand what was the situation, that are two pictures of two different students' guides. The one on the left that was also Tinda was showing before was the image on the first page of the guide at the beginning of the project for the Department of Engineering. And of course, well, we mentioned before the intersectionality and overlapping discrimination. I think that is quite self-explanatory in this sense. And about the vision of the typical student that comes to engineering in our university. So that was quite a wrong message, and also the students were quite. The feedback of the student during the focus group was quite negative about that. But as we said before, we extended, we worked with an interdisciplinary working group, and also the focus group with the students, involved the students of different degree courses. So we looked also at different guides of different departments, and that was the image for the Department of Law, that actually has a lot of female students enrolled, almost 50%, and even that, even in this situation, that was the picture that they chose to put on the first page. So we worked with the communication office, especially with our department, but also at the university level, to give them like simple indication, just to balance the gender in the images that they use for the student guide, and that was. Let's say the result at the end of the project. I mean, the last students' guide for the Department of Engineering and the Department of Law show pictures that were much more balanced in terms of gender, and we thought that was a good result that will stay in place, because now, I mean, we communicated with communication offices, staff members, and we had a really good feedback from them. And the other outcomes of these activities were also another kind of change in the students' guide, because we also included information on gender gap in the student guides for ICT degree courses, and also about counteracting activities like the summer camp digital girls that Tinda mentioned before. And that was, let's say, about the changes in the student guides. Then we worked as I anticipated, on the gender-sensitive language in administrative communication. We carried out a couple of events, actually. Here I reported a picture from the last event that was the most important one, and I will explain you why. Actually, the event was carried out just last Friday, so a few days ago. I said that that was the most important one because we worked with the HR offices of the university to make this event and the training for the staff that was carried out during the event mandatory for all the non-academic staff of the university, because one of the obstacles to do this kind of training and this kind of events that are required to, let's say, to really implement the adoption of the guidelines on gender-sensitive language that I was mentioning before, is a lack of resources, of expertise, and also the difficulty to involve the staff to participate to this event. No academic staff is not as flexible as maybe academic staff is in the choice of the working time, the use of their working hours. So for us, it was really important to involve to work closely with the HR offices to make this event mandatory. That means that the non-academic staff is required to attend physically or to follow the online registration of the event, and then to fill in a questionnaire that evaluates the understanding also of this topic. And of course, to have the availability of an internal expert that is an expert on gender language that can do actually this training was an opportunity, because it's a solution for the lack of resources that the university also always has. I would like to underline that the training in this case is really needed, because in Italian language to use gender-sensitive language can be really difficult if you are not an expert, because you ended up with long and redundant sentences. So many resistances emerge if there is no specific training on how to do this easily. So these are the main action. And I will conclude with some comments on the sustainability of this action, because this is a very important aspect for our implemented jobs. And for the Digital Girls Summer Camp, the sustainability basically comes from the collaboration with local entities and foundations that supported the program. There are long-term collaboration that started even before the project, but had been reinforced during the project, in particular with a local foundation in Modena that supported financially the camp for the next 3 years, and with private companies also in Reggio Emilia and the other cities, and for Cesena, let's say the third edition, the last edition that we added to the camp, also the collaboration with national groups of colleagues, of academics in the ICT fields was very important. And you can find information about this campus on the public website. And on the other hand, for the other action, the improvement of the institutional communication, we took the opportunity to include the adoption of the guidelines for the use of a gender-sensitive language into a strategic document of our university. As Maxime Forrest was mentioning before, we took this opportunity to put this in this triennial plan of positive action for the next period. And we also took the opportunity to try to change in our university a little bit the nature of this strategic document to keep this more structured and quantitative, and as committee, Unified Committee for Guarantees, which is responsible for the monitoring of this plan, to actually implement monitoring and evaluate the action proposed. And as a final remark, for the sustainability, let's say, of better, more gender-sensitive communication in our institution, yes, we activated also, that was part of another action, a new teaching course, Language and Gender for bachelor students at the Department of Cultural and Linguistical Studies. But this is, I want to underline this because this is important, that the course could be chosen as an optional course from any students of our university. So I think this, we hope that this learning path will continue beyond the project. And that was our presentation. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you. Elena Gorbacheva is a postdoctoral researcher at the Department of Information Systems, the Equal Opportunities Officer at the School of Business and Economics, and a member of the Equal Opportunities Commission, the EQUAL-IST project leader at the University of Muenster.
Yeah, I'll go there.
There is a change.
So, good afternoon. So, I'm Elena, and I'm from the University of Muenster in Germany. Within the EQUAL-IST project, when I started working on this project, I was also offered the role of Equal Opportunities Officer at the faculty level. So the faculty, it's called School of Business and Economics, and it's a faculty which my Department of Information Systems belongs to, and I immediately said yes to this role. And actually it helped me a lot during the implementation of the gender equality plan, because it gave me kind of more power and opened the doors for me. And within the project, and we were conducting our internal gender auditing, we identified a number of challenges relevant for us in the area of gender equality and interventions which we think would be useful and feasible to be implemented. And we found out that these interventions are relevant sometimes not only for our Department of Information Systems, but also sometimes for the entire faculty or even the entire university. And what is actually interesting, that out of the 32 activities which were done in the second iteration of the JEP implementation, Vicky picked up 2 activities, chose, which were actually not on the department level, but on a faculty and university level, and that's what I will present to you. So the first activity is about raising awareness of gender equality aspects among the members of appointment committees for tenured positions at our faculty, at the School of Business and Economics. And the challenges which we identified, one of them was vertical gender segregation, so decreasing share of women at each next career stage. And that's something which was relevant not only for our department, but actually also for the entire faculty or even the entire university. And we thought, okay, we need to find out what can we do, what is feasible to be done there to address this challenge within our project. And we thought, okay, we need to focus on the recruitment process. So how is it going on right now, and what are potential for improvement there? And we thought, okay, we need to focus on recruitment committees for the highest level positions, which are professorship positions, and see what can be done there. Another challenge which we also identified was general lack of awareness about the topic of gender equality, about the importance of promotion of gender equality. Although there are actually policies in place. So when we had a look at the policies which are there for recruitment also, they are there on a state, national and also university level. Policies are in place to ensure the transparent and fair recruitment procedure. And then thought, okay, what we were wondering, do all committee members, are all of them aware of these regulations? Do they actually read them? Because we found out in general there's a general lack of awareness, and maybe we can kind of raise their awareness about these existing regulations and kind of sensitize them towards them. And we wanted to do it in a nice, non-intrusive way, so that they don't feel offended, don't feel insulted. And the idea behind the solution behind this activity was that we prepared 2 very short emails, so very simple. And I, in my role of Equal Opportunities Officer, was sending these emails to each newly formed appointment committee. So I need to clarify here that for each new position of professor, we have a newly formed appointment committee. So the first email was sensitizing members about unconscious bias. And here I sent a very short email before the first meeting, like, dear commission members, I would like to pay your attention to a short 3-minute video made by the Royal Society about unconscious bias. And in this video, basically, maybe you know this video, all of you, that is being said that, okay, we all have this unconscious bias and it's not a bad thing. It basically helps us in our life to make decisions, sometimes even to survive. But when we have to make human-related decisions, we need to not let unconscious bias creep in. So just like be aware. So like nothing like personal, not that you did something wrong, but just be aware. We will meet soon to select the candidates to be invited for the interviews, and just that we all look only at their competences and at the required competences in the job description, and not let any other factors jump in there. Was the first email, and the second email was sent before the first interview with the first candidates. Usually it's being from a list maybe of, usually it's like 40 to 60 applicants for the position, maybe maximum 5 of them are being selected for interviews. And before the interviews, I send a second email just with like 6 bullet points, short summary, condensed summary of gender equality related regulations which are there. But everyone has to be treated in a fair way and an equal way, that comparable questions need to be asked to all candidates, that questions about family plans, about the income of the partner are, well, not appropriate and not allowed, and so on. So just a very short email. So that was basically what was done. So you see it's very simple activity. It's like a baby step, but it's actually a kind of adjustment a bit of the process, because people don't usually discriminate consciously. It's something which happens somehow. And if you just pay their attention and sensitize them, it's like, okay, look, here are the regulations, please follow them. So here, be aware, there's unconscious bias. And I think these 2 emails, in combination of me being present in my role of Equal Opportunities Officer at all meetings of the commissions, actually made the difference. So it was implemented in 6 appointment committees, and one of them was actually for our department, for my department, Information Systems. It doesn't take place often. As you imagine, we have only 6 professors, and now one of them finally retires. So we now had a new call for position, and we currently have a lady on place 1. So I would say that's a big victory, and it was like, I would say, challenging procedure, but in the end, we currently have, hopefully we will have a second female professor at our department. And as activity is quite simple to implement, it doesn't require a lot of efforts, neither from Equal Opportunities Officer side, nor from members of appointment committees. They just need to basically read these 2 short emails. We hope that it will be sustainable, and currently we are preparing the gender equality plan for the faculty, which is actually the a legal obligation for the faculty to have the gender equality plan, and I'm working on it, and I included it as one of the activities there, and will also communicate it to the following Equal Opportunities Officer, so that it continues to be implemented. Okay, now let's switch to the second activity, and activity is about development of an online platform of gender equality interventions for our university. It's totally different. So like now we jump to the university level. Yeah. So basically, this activity was actually triggered by the EQUAL-IST project. It became possible because of the project. And here's a short background. Within the project, we formed a working group for the project. And of course, in the working group, mostly members of my Department of Information Systems were involved. But we also have one colleague from the Equal Opportunities Office at the university level. And in one of the first meetings of our working group, we were discussing the crowd equality idea crowdsourcing platform, which I will present in the next session. And among the other points, we were discussing how can they actually structure data about challenges, about ideas, what information do we need to be on the platform to be fielded, and so on. So we were thinking basically from more technical side. And my colleague from the Equal Opportunities Office in Trotsky said like, oh wow, I didn't know it's possible. Can we actually apply this logic to our own interventions, because we have so much data about what university does to promote gender equality, what is being done at the faculty level, but it's like a chaos there. It's being stored in some Excel files, in some Word documents, in some text files. There's no like central storage, and it's each time a challenge to actually extract this data, find it out, and disseminate it. And that's actually exactly what deals with the challenge which we could identify. So this general lack of awareness about the topic, and also during the internal gender auditing, we could find out that people were not really aware of what's going on at the university. So what kind of interventions are already in place? So what kind of opportunities for work-family balance, for promotion of women are there? And I thought, okay, right, that would be actually a great idea to make like a central point of contact, like a single point of contact, like an online platform which will store all this information in a convenient way. Right, and a colleague of mine who is also a member of the working group, Armin Stein, he overtook the lead of this project. It was like a very big project which had actually two parts in it. The first part was a consulting part, so he kind of acted as an internal consultant for our Equal Opportunities Office and asked them a bunch of questions like, what kind of information do you have about interventions? What information would you like to be visible to the public, and what information maybe you don't want to be visible to the public? For example, your internal notes on success or unsuccess of intervention, or about funding or anything. So like this kind of questions, what attributes each field should have, and so on. Based on this set of meetings, in the end, there was a conceptual framework, a kind of a data structure for interventions. So what kind of data should be there to describe an intervention. And then there was a second phase of this project, which was a software development phase, when actually the online platform was developed using a Drupal content management system, which was customized for our needs. And end of last year, we launched it. We have, it's called Glonda, Gleichstellung Online Datenbank in German, so basically online database for gender equality interventions. So if you will receive the slides and you will see the link. If we have a chance, also I would gladly show you more how it works. So it's now being linked on our university website, on the website of Equal Opportunities Office, and we are currently in the process of disseminating it further, so that it's being linked on the website on each and every faculty, so that we can increase visibility. And what is great about it, that Equal Opportunities Office overtook the lead in like content-wise. Content-wise, it's complete, that it's up to date, and that it's being continuously updated. So at the moment, already all the interventions which were done early in the past, which are currently going on, are more or less there. Of course, not all of them, so I need to admit that it's on my task list to provide to them the information about the EQUAL-IST project activities, which over 40 activities which were done within the project. They will also appear on the platform, which I think is also a great thing for the project itself, because it will be stored not only in our deliverables, but it will be permanently available on our website. And in the platform, you would find. First, if you just go there, you would see the list of all interventions which currently are active or which have ever been done at the University of Muenster, and then you can filter them. You can filter if it's an active project or if it's a finished project. So it's also kind of an archive storage for everything which has been done. You can filter by faculty, if it's something for the faculty, or if it's something at the university level, by target audience, if it's families or potential students or staff members and so on, and by project type, if it's some financial support, if it's a consulting service, provision of infrastructure, mentoring, and so on. So there are all these filtering options which one can apply to then only find the interventions that you find which are most useful for you. And then for each intervention, of course, there's a separate page then providing further details. All right, so currently we are in the process of disseminating the platform and further putting there further content which is not yet there. And the impact of the platform is actually extended the scope of its initial scope. So initially we wanted to create like a single point of contact to share information about all our interventions, to raise awareness. But in the end, the platform was much more than that. It basically changed the overall process, how data is being managed by our Equal Opportunities Office. So how they collect, store, revise, update, extend, and report on the interventions. So because with this platform, they also can create reports, so they can easily extract data, and they can select what fields, what exactly information about each intervention they can extract, and then use it in reports, for example, to the German government or to the German Science Foundation, and basically make it customized, and by that it will save them a lot of time. That's also one of the main sustainability factor, that there is basically no way back to the previous process, because the new process is just so much better. There is no way back to come back to paper and pen, right? So that's what is good about it, and the Equal Opportunities Office are motivated to keep this platform up to date, and also that our system administration team at our Department of Information Systems have kindly agreed and committed themselves to to maintain the platform technically, to install all security updates, to be there if there's any bugs or any problem. So from this side, we have it covered both content-wise and technically. If you have any questions, I'm happy to show you the platform in more detail, but besides that, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, let me remind the audience that you can use the hashtag. It's written also on here to post any questions on Twitter in case we don't have time to reply you during the conference. We will reply you online. So now I would like to change the panel. I would like to invite Professor Danguole Rutkauskiene, Professor Ganna Plekanova, and Irina Zolotario. You can sit beside me and I can change the slides. Do you want to change what slide? Okay. Number 3. Just to use the microphone.
Presentations or not? Two of us. What about?
We have more. Can we discuss it later?
Until lunch?
Other 3. Professor at the Department of Multimedia Engineering and the Faculty of Informatics at Kaunas University of Technology, expert of education and Baltic education technology, and she has a particular interest in e-learning methodology management and the use of advanced learning technologies in universities and education institutions.
Thank you, Vicky. Really, I'm expert of distance education, but I like to see your eyes. Maybe this position will be much more better. Thank you for inviting Vicky and Maria to this project. Really, it's very interesting for us. And I think the success of the project is direct correlation about enthusiasm and fanats in partner institutions. And I would like to tell you, because I'm a mathematician, and like Vicky mentioned, I have 10 minutes only, because the lunch is fixed, as I understood, because after 1 o'clock you will be very unhappy. Maybe this is.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we have to go.
Thank you.
Till 1.
In reality, we done because I promised to present some activity what was done in Kaunas University of Technology, because really a lot of changes during 3 years, and of course I have to present only some activities as career planning elements, but in reality we done not only what was written in the project. I think I calculate maybe 3-4 times more. Why? Because it's very, very interesting for us, and we are doing different activities. But some ideas was born in the project. It means thank you for EQUAL-IST project. Really, really very, very big input, not only in my university and my faculty, but in institutional level and national level. And as I promised, I have to present career planning, because really it's not so easy to change some stereotypes in our society. I'm in Faculty of Informatics, Multimedia Engineering Department, And I remember very well when 10 years ago, I was alone as a flowers among men's because it was technical university. During 3 years, really a lot of elements changed, and I was so happy that some time ago, our rector and 2 vice rectors was not men's. And now, 2 weeks ago, we elected new dean, Professor Rita, and she's really fantastic. It means we have practical changes, not only do you know some research and etc. It means now about career planning. In reality, yes, especially it's not so easy to do career in our areas. And I have one gift, because I'm teacher, I want to ask you, I know I have only 10 minutes, I will finish. In which country, in percentages, the number of female PhD is much more biggest like PhD men's? In which country in Europe? Please tell, you know Europe countries. No. Yes. Yes, and this is map of Lithuania, chocolate. Of course, you are in Brussels, it's much better chocolate, but anyway, we have very good chocolate, beer, etc. It means really we have a lot of numbers, but when you speak about high position, it's totally different situation, like you can try compare with Finland, with Sweden. And now our task to motivate, showing very good cases, and to supporting, it's very, very important, to supporting young researchers really to be more enthusiastic and to create some career planning. And in this project, one of our tasks was to create a plan how I can do career, not me, I was as a consultant, if you are young. And we done a lot of, not a lot of activities, really, it was long process. First of all, it was discussion, interview, because it's not so many scientific researchers in my faculty. What is very important, when we create some, after this discussion, some template, general, about how we can create, you can create some career. It means really one of the tasks to create some template. Second, to adapt to ICT sector because it's a little bit specific. And later on to care about this young researcher, to be as an older sister. It's okay for you? I'm as an older sister, like mother. It means really we invited oldest, more experienced professors to be as a supervisors and to help, because a lot of questions, a lot of problematic situation. If you are young, maybe you have some children, and etc. But do you want to do career? Sometimes in our mind, we don't have ideas to do career. Okay, I'm a good teacher, I will be associated professor, etc., etc. But to reach much more high level, usually we don't have such ideas, because this is of the stereotypes and not having good examples. Now situation is changing. Our young researchers are more active. And close to this activity, I'm so happy about SIG group, special interest group. We create, I invited from 10 universities and colleges, 12 fantastic persons, and we signed agreement with Basnet. And 2 days ago, we signed agreement about collaboration with Lithuanian Business Women Association. Why? Because we want, I asked them, please teach us how to be leader. And maybe we will support you how to use ICT more effective in your business. It means really we try to be very, very effective. It means we create template. Yeah, and I am so happy to see Kristina Okvelbergene. For you, it's impossible to pronounce this surname. And really, I am so happy that this idea about gender equality is not only interesting in our faculty, in our department, but in our institutional level. It means we have now very strong support. And for us, it's very important, because what was done in my faculty, now we are sharing to another faculties. It means it became as an institutional activity. And additionally, using SIG group, we are sharing our experience with another universities and colleges. Because KTU, we are very strong in video conferencing, in ICT. If you need some, if you have some question in this areas, we are really professional. And we are inviting representatives from all universities and colleges, and we are sharing this information. Please look, we done it. you can do the same. It means it's very easy. It means this is especially about continuation. And we create, second, it's very, of course, we adapt this to ICT specific goals. And very important when, how to say, we invite these young researchers, they fulfill this data in this questionnaire. Later, it was very important not to leave them alone. We want to create as a community. But this is 2 buildings, it's not complicated. Sometimes we are drinking coffee. For example, 3 days ago, we organized some seminars about how we can collect. If I want to do career, it's okay. But sometimes it could be some project money, it could help me. And we invited them for some special seminars about additional financial resources, what exists in my university. It means really we try to care about them in different areas, not only about writing PhD and growing some competencies. And again, I'm so happy that now we are in very close contact with different departments. We are telling the central building, in reality is in Rectorate. And I don't like to occupy your time. Of course, we've done a lot of leaflets, what is written in the application, we've done in 100%. But additionally, for example, first time in this year, another question, but sorry, I don't have present, in which time it's our day. Do you know? Women and girls in science. It is 21st of February. This is our day we can celebrate. This is our day. It was first time in this year when I understood, when I got this message. It means now we are celebrating together. We invite fantastic girls, and it was webinars, we made record, it was some game. It means really we are doing a lot of activities because really we want to help them to do real career. And again, what is written in the application, we've done much more. And if you will have questions, I'm ready to answer. About sustainability, you just understood during my presentation. I think really, I think we will survive because a lot of ideas. And last message, some of you done some resource, some survey. Usually every year in December we are organizing, I am from Faculty of Informatics, Advanced Learning Technologies and Application. This is international conference, only Copernicus Index, not ICI, not Web of Science, but anyway. And in this year we will have a special session, gender equality questions. If you have some material, please contact me, maybe I will send you invitation. Really, you can participate virtually. And it means, of course, if you will attend Kaunas, it will be fantastic event because it will be newest, more modern building in Kaunas, and it will be very easy. Thank you for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So the next RPO is from the university in Ukraine.
Yes.
It's Ganna. Plekanova is a senior lecturer of Information Systems Department. And Irina is a professor of Information Systems Department and PhD Rector's Assistant in International Projects.
Is it? Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. We are from Ukraine, from Kharkiv National University of Economics, and this project is the first project for all Ukrainian universities in which we built gender equality plans, and we started to speak about gender equality. So you can imagine that we started from zero to work on this issue, and it was a big challenge to speak to our governance and try to change culture and mindset of our high-level management system and team. Of course, as each of you, we received a lot knowledge, communication, a lot of impact from this project. But now we decided to focus on two. I will tell you about
data collections, because before this project we did not use these gender disaggregated data for different kind of report, analysis, information, and so on. But after some communications with our rector, we decided to create a team which is responsible for this data. We have internal database with many different kinds of data, but we used it about students, professors, about different kind of stuff, but we never used this information in thinking about the gender aspects. And to change this situation, we need to change the approach and to ask IT company which is responsible for internal database and for internal information system to make these changes. So we organized a group with people who are working in HR department with some vice rectors, and we have also IT department in charge of information, using information technologies inside of the university, and the project group, and we discussed about requirements for these forms. And as you know, for software development we need resources, we need tasks, and we need time. So it was the order of our rector to make these changes, and we did it. And now this system is give the opportunity to see all activities of the university in gender disaggregated
activities, gender disaggregated
yes,
data.
These data, and also these data now are included in different university reports and in reports of our rector 2 times a year. Okay, and Anna will continue about our activities, examples, or only examples in this project.
Yes, and as Elena said, really we had a lot of challenges and a lot of activities, plenty of activities, 19 for 2 years. And I will continue with one, not the activity which was not very difficult to implement, but which gave very good result and led us to increase loyalty of staff. It was about work-life balance, because during the participatory audit and the crowd equality process, we recognized that our staff concerned about work-life balance problem, and that's why we have some activities aimed at solving this problem. And this one, which I'm going to talk about, is how to implement provisions for ensuring priority when drawing up the schedule of classes. The issue was like this. Our university provides 2 shifts. So we have morning and evening classes, both. And especially our faculty of economic informatics, mostly we have evening classes. And for those staff who have small children, large families, children with disabilities, it's impossible to take their children to kindergarten or to school in the morning, and then to pick up children from these kindergartens. That's especially it was a burning issue for families in which both husband and wife are academic staff of our university. And how we decided to solve this problem, our university changed the procedure of scheduling of classes and allowed this academic staff to have priority in the scheduling process. So the staff applied to the department responsible for scheduling and applied and asked for proper time for classes, and then it was much more easy for them, for these persons to keep work-life balance during the current semester. And also we not only improved this procedure of scheduling, we also fixed these changes in normative documents of the university, in our regulation on drawing up the schedule of classes in order to make this procedure sustainable. Because if we wouldn't fix it in the document, the problem is like this. This procedure could depend on the head of the department and on the current staff of the scheduling department. But now this procedure is fixed in the normative document, and it's obligatory for all staff. So my summary is that such small action, it wasn't difficult to implement, but it really allow us to increase significantly the loyalty of the staff and to improve work-life balance of our staff. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
So, we have 2 more stories to hear, and I would like to invite the representative of Minho University in Portugal, and Reima Suomi, the professor of informatics in system science at the University of Turku.
Well, good morning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rosa Vasconcelos. I'm Vice Dean of the School of Engineering in Minho University, and I'm also the President of the Pedagogical Council of the School of Engineering. Well, let me try to summarize what we have done in Minho University in short times. Well, our was to organize scientific meetings, and our challenges was to embedding gender in the research context and teaching, communication, politics, and external and industry also. We have a greater interaction between and by research academics workings on the gender equality topics in the various units of this university. We have 12 units in our university as to promote internal gender and equality policies. And also we have to ensure the support of local, national governments in the international initiative of Minho have done. Well, the motivations were involvement in the various academics and research of all the organic units of teaching and research of Minho University. We have 12 in total to discuss gender equality and to promote action and some internal initiative of all university. That was the School of Engineering, School of Science, School of Management, School of Medical School, and Social Science, and all of the schools were involved and holding our meetings. We have also interaction with other Portuguese universities and local national governments. We asked to stimulate the collaboration in new projects and new initiatives in the gender issues. Next one, please. Well, to resume, we have done 2 meetings. One was made in 8th of July and another in March, 21 of March. The first one we have 47 participants, 30 was female and 17 was male. And in another one it was less. We have only 17 females and 10 males. Well, that is, we have from the research 21, from the industry 7, for the government members 3, for civil society 5, for the policymakers 5, and for the media we have 5. In the last meeting in last March, it was less from the media, but for the policymakers we have the same one, and civil society we have enrolled more people. And for government we have two, that one it was very important because it's our Secretary of State about that, about the gender equality. What we expect, the main results that we have from both these meetings. We have speakers from the academia, from scientific societies, organizations and industry. We have the presence of the Portuguese Secretary of State of Citizenship and Equality and the President of the Portuguese Gender Equality Commission. It was very important to enroll all the people that are not interested in this kind of matter and to discuss with them what is going to happen with our gender plan. This conference shows that university efforts and results in this area of gender equality were communicated externally, search and gathering news synergies about everything, about the newspaper, about what we made there in the university and what we have done with another university. Well, the outcomes that we have something like change in process and pressures and our social factors. The participation of regional entities making evident the work of Minho University, the participation of government guaranteeing a national visibility of the University of Minho in the field of gender equality. Also the collaboration with other national universities and projects in gender equality. And at last, to involve master and doctoral students in various disciplines at the university in the organization of the conference. Because previous to this conference, we have several meetings to try to solve everything that is going to speak. Well, the sustainability of the shift changes. We have the co-organization of EQUAL-Tech. Every year focuses on several themes addressed by EQUAL-IST project. Communication, education, research, industry and policy. We have the engagement of MINGIP working group in discussions, activities that can later take advantage of funding opportunities for internal projects, national projects as well, H2020 projects. We want to ensure that university efforts and results in the area of gender equality are well communicated externally, thus engaging new synergy. You can see in the last slide some pictures that were taken in the two meetings. I was not in the second meeting because I have something to do, but I was there in the first meeting that we have the president of our official members of the government, that it was very important. And we have signed some memorandum of understanding with them, try to do doing something in Minho University about the gender plan. And I think it's completed my presentation. It was.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And Professor Ramos will present us the story of the U2 University in Turku, Finland.
Are you having the paper for me? This? No.
This paper?
I fetch my paper.
You can sit.
You can sit there.
Yes, good afternoon from my side too. I'm Ramos from University of Turku. We were happy to hear that you wanted to hear about, I would say, very core activity about academic life, also tutoring and doing a doctoral thesis. It was actually our rector that once said that the most important participant in our university community is the first-year student. And I very much agree with that, and continuing on that kind of thinking, maybe in the core academic activity, staff activities and teaching. It's the first year doctoral student that is the most important member of the community. So I'm very happy to be able to report our proceedings in this doctoral education. So this is the topic also. Also the well-known problem is that there is a lack of women in doctoral education, especially in STEM sciences, as we heard this morning already from the Commission. To these hard STEM sciences, of course, computer science is especially belonging, but to some extent also information systems science. And there is a difference. I must say that in information systems science, we have had always more women than in computer science. But anyway, we saw the problem even in our information systems science that also is more human science, not technical science. The sad track record in this, for example, is that among the first 10 doctoral graduates from our institute, all were women, all were men, sorry. So there were no women among those 10 first graduates, and since then we occasionally had women, but the growth rate was not very fast. And now, as we have our current records, the case is already that we have 32 active doctoral students, and 8 of them are women, and 24, also 75% are still men. So we are proceeding and getting better balance, but still it's clear that much more has to be done, but we are anyway proceeding with this procedure. So what have we done? We have very much based on the experiences and guidance we have got from this project implemented women in central positions at the student interface. Also, in any organization, they say that the organizational power is where the customer interface is, and in an academic unit, the customer interface is where you meet the students. And we have very much tried to implement women to that interface and have they in contact with the students, have them in communication with students and taking care of many things students need. So I think this has been very important, and so our students have seen that really it's the women that run this business, it's the women that make decisions on your, say, studies and examinations and things like that, and that women can get important decision positions in the institute. So that has been a role model for our students. And especially we have made it important that the tutors of doctoral students are female. Usually we have, or by instructions of the university, we have two tutors for each doctoral student, and we have been careful to see that for the new doctoral students, one of the two is always a woman, and I think that's a very good starting point. Especially when we take into account that a lot of core academic activity is happening in the tutoring position. So you typically, of course, you direct the research, you give information about methods, background theories, so on. So female touch has come to these issues with this arrangement. And typical is too that you, for example, make joint publications with the doctoral students, and so our women staff members have got more deeply into this work too. And of course, this whole issue has been made more easy because on the nation and international level, we see more and more role models of women in important ICT positions, including academic positions. One part of doctoral studies is, of course, the doctoral seminar. As you see, the figures were such one that there is 75% of men anyway among doctoral students, but still we have tried to make it clear that in every doctoral seminar there is at least one woman presenting. Typically it might be there are 3 persons, still 2 are men, 1 is woman. It's important that all doctoral students, of course, get into voice and have a presentation 2 times a year. That's the goal for all active doctoral students, and that's why, of course, men must have the time they need to even present their own studies. We think now that the workload among staff is now more even than before, and women have been empowered. For example, they have been able to take very much deeper activities in publications, because really you publish with and in support of the doctoral students. So it has been very good that now even our female staff members can make joint publications with our doctoral students, which is again a key component when you want to proceed in your academic career. And I think our doctoral thesis topics now present a wider spectrum of topics. For example, there is one thesis going on how you support autistic children with computer systems, and how you make applications that make the life of the families that have autistic children more easy. I would expect this topic would not have come up in a very male-dominated environment, but now we are more sensitive to the life, family life, and different issues that might come in those environments. For example, in our research on healthcare information systems and the areas where they could be supportive. And how we are sustaining these changes. As before, of course, the law and all the practice and everything starts with the idea that just the best students are selected to doctoral student positions. So in principle, gender should be no topic in this connection, but if there are even applicants, we should take a look at this gender balance, and of course we must understand that, say, reviewing, assessing, then listing the doctoral students on basis of their qualities is not a totally objective process. There is always human assessment included, and in that human assessment we must get out of all bias that might especially harm women in their career. In general, this doctoral student selection process in the university has been made much more structured. So it's not anymore so that a professor, often a male, says to someone, "You look like a nice, please come to study with us." It's no more like that. There is a very structured process, and there are many gremiums that finally select the doctoral students. So there is very strong system really to make sure that just the best students get selected, and really it is not a structured process. Might have been one that did not support women, but I guess now we are in much better pace on that. And in a way, this is a snowball effect. As we get more ready doctors from the women, we have more staff that can be used for tutoring future doctoral studies. So it's good that our female resources that are able to tutor doctoral students are growing. And I think now new skill sets have come even to women participants of the staff, because they are now more active in this doctoral students tutoring. That is, as said, a core activity in the university and has a very multi-sided skill demand, and women have really been able to grow up with this new task. Yes, and I think everyone is very happy, so I see no whatsoever risk or possibility that we could not be able to sustain this good development. As said, much is already implemented to the rules and procedures of the university, but there is even a very strong consensus among all us staff members that this new tendency that we are having is very good. So I'm pretty sure this sustainability will remain and we will continue with this good process. So
thank you very much. So we are 15 minutes ahead for the lunch. We will skip the session for the questions. You can pose, of course, your question in Twitter. And if you have time during the next sessions, we will come back on your questions. Or, of course, during the lunch, you can discuss with the RPOs bilaterally. We are going to lock the room, so if you would like to leave your stuff inside, you can do it. And see, it will be 1 hour break, and 2:15, we will be back. Thank you.